What's up, YouTube? It's ArtisanMc, and I figured I would do this PMDM live. Got a couple things swirling around in my head, and I'm making the trek home. So I figure I'd air out this little jumble of shit, just so I can let my head down peacefully when I go to bed. So if it comes off as a ramble, it is what the hell it is. I mean, what else you gonna do about it? What up, Art of Enrage? There we go. Yeah, we got you. I saw that you streamed today with the Kerner Commission. I got to catch that when I get to the house after I finish this. So that's good. Glad to see it. And y'all follow me here while I go on this stream of talk. It may seem like a ramble, but I'm getting in the stream soon. So swimming with me. I watched a good video today, which was what up, baby? Which was Jordan Peterson being interviewed by some British feminists. Yeah, the video had 50 million views, so it's 3 years old, right? So I always say that things pass your sight when they pass your sight. It's just what it is, right? So okay. All right, Artie, more. Email me. So I'm watching this stuff, right? And shout out to Sam, Black Babe, stepdad Sam. He sent me the video, and he sent it because he was impressed with the way Jordan Peterson was just like destroying this chick's arguments, right? And I told him, yeah, I've heard of Jordan Peterson, like he does that on a regular with fucking feminism, right? He just does, like that's light work, right? But then I actually sat back and watched the video, and the video is like an hour or something long. Told you guys I don't like to, speak on stuff out of ignorance. So if it's an hour or something long, I'm gonna devote an hour or something watching and analyzing that damn video. It's just what it is. What up, Ray? I see you in here, Ray. So I watched the video, and there was a lot of stuff in there that I really enjoyed in just the debate, just the actual debate form. I really actually enjoyed. And it was more so that they had a discussion, had a conversation, right? And how the man handled himself, handled her talking points, handled her, in a sense, was it really impressive? It was really impressive to see somebody in their frame, as you would say, in their frame like that, just hold it. It's just what it is. It's natural. Now, I was giving Sam some audio comments back and forth. We were talking bullshit and stuff like that, matching it up to real life and whatnot. When I finished the video, I told him the reason I like psychology and why I got that part in psychology is being able to articulate something that most people might know in a sense or feel in a sense, but being able to accurately articulate that because you have a grasp of the information, you have a grasp of what's going on with the person, you have a grasp of the sociology of the situation. It just puts you in a lot of areas all at once. That if you're a person like myself that just thrives on having information, you can accumulate a lot. But what comes from that is that psychological training where you have to have control of yourself. in your emotions and not be leading your emotions with other people, but you have to lead with facts, right? So that was one of the things I was pointing out to Sam that I really enjoyed about that, is that dude was just giving it to her. He wasn't shaking. She might have pissed him off a couple of times, but he was calling her on a lot of her bullshit. And a lot of the time she was fucking with him. She was really trying to fuck with him. But I was having a good laugh with Sam, pointing out how he told the woman in numerous different places. He told her she didn't think. He told her she was not genuine. He told her all kind of shit right to her fucking face. And I think it moved past her because, as I told Sam, this is the beauty of English, right? This is the fun of English. In English, you can say all kinds of things to people, and they'll never take it the same way unless you said you're a dumb bitch, right? What he said in that in the interview, he said that he wishes that people had a greater faculty of cognition. He just called her fucking stupid. That's what he told her. He said, "I think you're a dumb bitch. You don't think." That's what he told her, but he didn't say it as crudely or as shortly as I just did. He said it in a longer academic kind of way, and that shit was making me laugh because that's what's good for having a grasp of any language, or at least the English language. You can say all kind of stuff. And it's funny because people don't take it the same way because they have to think. That was the other thing that gets me about psychology. You can always make people think. That's why they don't like psychologists too much, because it's always feeling like this person got an in over me. They know a little bit more than I'm saying, like fucking Vulcans and shit like that. No, not really. I mean, it's kind of like that. Say, there's a scene in The Color of Money with Paul Newman and Tom Cruise and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, right? And Fast Eddie Felsen makes a deal with this dude, said, "Watch the watch, and I'm gonna go do this thing and tell me how long it takes," right? He goes, he talks to this woman, gets her to leave in less time than he could, and he's like, "How'd you do that?" And Fast Eddie tells them, "I study human moves. You watch the watch. I study human moves," which was a point. Now, what he didn't know is that Fast Eddie knew the chick, right? Got her to leave the bar with him because it was easy. Because he already knew the chick. They was already had a relationship. But Tom Cruise's character, Vincent, didn't know that. And that's the point that Eddie was trying to teach him. You have to study people. Psychology and sociology is the study of people. Psychology is the study of people individually, but you build a big base of knowledge studying enough people with enough of the same situations where you can get a baseline on them. And then sociology is just a study of just groups of people, how they behave. It does get you in the sense of understanding how people are going to react before they react, which I did this week, which just made me laugh because I called the play of a person because I know them, not because I'm in their head and taking up space in their brain to just predict their movements. But if you know a person, predicting their movements ain't hard. It's not a difficult fucking thing to do. You just understand what the situation is, who the person is, what their temperament and behavior will be. You can probably predict their damn move. Probably could. With enough exposure to that person, you know how they're going to act. Right? So that's psychology, studying human moves. That's it. So when I'm listening to this interview with Jordan Peterson, he does some of that on this chick. He flips it at one point during the conversation in the debate. He flips it to where he takes her positions from her. It gets her to start answering things truthfully in a sense, because he's playing like this is his position. But I think he just got bored, so he started fucking with her because he knows she's not there. She's not his at his acumen, right? She's not at his level. She's just not. And he's tolerating this conversation, but I think he got a little irritated and bored, so he just started fucking with her, right? And I'm seeing all this because it's like a game. Conversation to me is visual, right? So I'm seeing it's a fucking game. He was bored, so he just flipped it for a minute, and then he went back to having an actual conversation. And it was so many times he asked the chick, "Do you really think this?" And just turned the point on her to where she was being really rude or disrespectful or saying some most, egregiously inflammatory statements. And he's like, "Wow, you really believe that? What do you think the situation is?" And at one point, it made me laugh out loud. It did. I was trying to remember the exact points that made me laugh out loud when I was listening to it. But one of the points he told her is that she wasn't genuine. Nothing about her was genuine. That she was just repeating what she was taught. But he hears nothing of her in what she's saying. And that it was no different. You could put somebody else there. It's the same thing he's been here. You can stick another person in that place and take her out and have the same conversation. That's why he was saying it was easy to know where she was going with the line of questioning in the conversation. Because it's rote. It's the same shit. You were fucking NPC at that point. And I just had to die laughing because he was he sounded when he said the shit halfway insulted and so bored. Like, what the fuck? Really? You gonna go here with this line of questioning again? Which made me chuckle. Because she really thinks the stuff that she's saying is what she believes. And if you listen to it, the questions she asks and the responses she gives when he tells her, you can guess the responses too because you've heard them every fucking time one of these people are asked these questions. That's what makes it so fucking boring. It's not hard when you understand the ideology they come from. You know what you're going to say. It's like a parent disciplining a kid. Like, who ate the cookie? Let me guess. You didn't do it, right? But it's only one child in the house. So who the fuck else was in here eating it? You really, come on, man. You know, it's the same response. It's funny as shit, right? But it gets tiring in a sense because you hate hearing regurgitated shit. So I sat there listening to that interview and I'm like, see, I can probably get along with him because we hit the same spot. I'm very good at listening to people, right? Pretty good at that. Not so good at holding my tongue when I hear some shit that's absolutely fucking objectionable. Not good at that part. But that's, as far as I know, that's in the hereditary. That's in my genes, right? It's just what it is. That's never not going to be the case. But I'm really good at listening, right? And I make notes of that stuff when I hear from people. So it's absolutely frustrating when, say, you're having a debate like that, and I'm feeding back what you have said, but then at the same time, I'm not emotional about the shit. And that was one of the things that me and Sam were talking about, how he and the lady might have this discussion and she gets upset about him not being emotional. I told him, I said, it's like a rat on a hamster wheel that creates electricity. She's mad that you won't jump on the wheel to create the charge she wants. She feeds on that. She needs that emotional reaction because that's what it means when the chick says you're boring. You're not giving her that emotional charge. She needs it. The batteries will run down. You know? Look like this, like the Tin Man without the oil can. You know, it's like, hey, what are you doing? So I said, that's what it is. And I said, if you watch his interview, that's what he did. That's what Jordan Peterson did the whole time he was talking to the chick. He controlled himself. And she kept throwing some inflammatory shit out there. She talked about his kids, his wife. Did he ever cheat on his wife? He had feminine tendencies and all the rest of this shit she was saying. But he didn't respond to none of that. He just reasserted other questions to her. And every time he actually put her on the spot to give a position that was hers, to say for herself what it was, she diverted off onto another topic and tried to bring some other things into it. And that's what made it really interesting, is that when you argue with an argument, you have to come with your weapons ready. You can't argue with an argument on shit that you heard and just throw it back at them and think it's going to stick to the wall. It's going to slide off, because it's like, yeah, I know the person who wrote that article, and I know where it came from. It came from this point this time, and this doesn't work because you're paralleling two things that don't exist. You can't presuppose this existed at this far back point in time because there's only a new concept. It's like he was hitting her ass, but just it wasn't scripted. It wasn't in a sense that this is something that he had to think about. If you understand watching people and how they process information, he never actually, is looking up into his visual centers and nothing like that. This is what he knows. He knows this shit. It's just there on recall. It took me to the end of the video to find out the motherfucker was a doctor, because he had already said he had taught and stuff like that, had students and shit, and he was a clinician. So I'm already perking my ears up. It's like, oh, okay, my field. Let's see what you got, because this is what interests me about people who really have a good grasp of information. They're usually straight to the point with it. They cut out all the bullshit. And it's not an overly emotional thing. Well, science-wise, it's not, but it is what it is. And that's what he was given. Now, a couple of the interesting things that came out of that was the end of the interview, and she's doing her lightning round and asking these ridiculous ass fucking questions. And one of them, I'm driving in the car listening to it and laugh out loud hard as fuck about. She asked him, what would you, how did she phrase it? What would you what would you enjoy if you were a female? And quick as a whip, the motherfucker said multiple orgasms. I fucking died laughing. I know she wasn't expecting that response from him. I know she wasn't expecting that response, but he just gave it. It just came right out. Now, he could have been just being a smart ass about the shit, which I think he was, but he said it just straight to her, like deadpan as fuck. Right? I thought it was hilarious as shit. He just told this bitch multiple orgasms. What the fuck, dude? But after that, it gets to a point, and she asks him, what would he like to be remembered as? And this is one of the interesting things that he did during this whole interview. At different points, he stops and really considers what she's saying. And that's something you don't see too often with people, that they'll listen to a person ask a question. They're not just thinking of their response. They actually listen to a person ask a question. And they actually close their mouth and process the shit for a minute. And he sat there and thought about it for a hot second, maybe about 30 of them, and then said, I would like to be remembered that I was honest. And I thought that was like, for me, that's a big thing, because he hit on a couple of points that I hit on in my life as well. One is about balance. Two is about lying, and that everybody fucking lies. You just have to figure out what they would lie for and why they would lie. The motivation is more important than the lie itself. And the other thing is about being honest. Because what difference does it make? Or she gonna get her ass in the gym. She'll be upset at you all day, but being upset at you ain't gonna change the fact that you didn't make the dress and you ain't made her fat. So look, if you don't like the opinion, you can stop asking. Honesty is something that some people cannot take. Women especially cannot take honesty. Even ones that say they love that brutal honesty. They don't like brutal honesty. They like their brutal honesty. Talking about other people. But they don't like that honesty about them. Because it calls into question who they are. It's very easy to see people have a good time throwing contradictions or casting aspersions about others, but never actually look at their behavior. Very easy to do that. In some ways it's fun. But if you actually go back and look at them, it's like, well, what have you done? What have you accomplished? What have you built? They ain't got shit to show. But they love trying to tear down everybody else's shit. Right? But these are the questions that cognitive people actually ask folks, as opposed to just the tried true method of, oh, they said it, I'll just accept that and move on. No. Fuck that. I like to be a little bit more engaged with what's being said. So it was very interesting to see somebody do that, to actually sit and have an actual thought, let a moment or two pass between the asking of the question and the answer, and actually consider the answer, consider the question, and then give an answer. So I thought it was interesting, given that in this day and age, folks have more of a habit to just want to have the first thing to say back in response than to actually think about what it is that they have actually said. I do this shit often. I might put my foot in my mouth sometimes because I say something just because it's honest. It's coming from an honest place. But I didn't think about how somebody else would take that shit. That may be the case. But managing other people's feelings ain't my damn job. Not. My job is to manage my own emotional world, not every other person's. Because I don't think that same thought process is going into what people say or do in my damn direction. I really don't think so. I could be wrong, but they would have to tell me that shit. But I don't think they spend that much time. I just can't conceptualize it, But I'm sure it's happened. But not today. So it was interesting. Outside of that conversation, or that watching that interview and having a conversation with Sam, it had me thinking more about other stuff going on and swirling around me, and just people in general. It's like, it got me back to a place where I was really impressed and excited about a fucking debate, conversation, a way of having discourse that's intelligent. That's why I love watching, TED Talks or people actually having an intellectual debate and not, a food fight. That you can actually get some real gems out of people and be impressed with what they actually know, their grasp of information, the whole sweeping breadth of their intellect, not just this one thing. Because one thing is for certain, you never know what's in somebody else's head. You don't know what the hell they learned and what they have. And it's not always so evident in just how they speak. and how they dictate their words. You know, it's not always as evident as that. It's not. But if you sit down long enough with somebody, talk to them long enough, you find out all kinds of shit. Especially if you're being real with them. Especially if you're being real. You'll find out all kinds of shit. And you will learn them. You will. Especially if you pay attention. So at the end of that, which is why the title of this is what it is, I started comparing that interview being 3 years old and still touching on stuff that was relevant today. And stuff that I have swirling around for myself. And then I thought about it and said, and what point did you prove from all that shit? That woman sitting there in that interview because she was doing a book. And the way she kept trying to cast him and paint him in some picture, which was, it was basically like Agent Smith running up on Neo after he woke up in the damn Matrix and could see the code. Like, the fuck are you doing throwing these bullshit ass punches? You know, that's basically what it was. After that, doing all that to try to get, you know, her name out there and stuff for her book or material for her book. And what did you get out of that? What did it do for you? And that's what I came up with. And when I mapped that onto the stuff that I had swirling around, that was the same thing that came to me too. Because at the end of the day, it's like, and now what? What was the point of that shit? I can tell you guys I had some of the goofiest shit happen this week, and it's still like, it was not unexpected. It was predicted. I called it and told somebody else the day it was going to happen. And when it happened that day, all I could do was fucking chuckle to myself. Because, like, and here's where the next shoe will fall. Like, I was laughing with my mother about, could be right, but it's the shit that I'm right about that you don't want to be right about. Right? It's not beneficial for you to be right about certain things. And that's just from understanding human nature, studying human fucking moves. That's it. It's from understanding who people are and accepting them for who they say that they fucking are. If you're this, fine. Then I shouldn't see you acting any different, should I? The more different you act, proves that you ain't. And I'm not proving that you ain't. Your actions are proving that you're not. That you're not that at all. And that can be disappointing. Just in terms of dealing with people. That can be pretty disappointing. But you have to accept people for who they say they are until they prove otherwise. At least in my philosophy of dealing with shit. Everybody is given a chance to show their fucking true colors. Everyone. Because they always do. And at least for me, after I've made my personal assessment of a person, I just watch, take notes, make stats. Most of this is done in my head. Just studying behavior and studying the person. That's it. So there is not a surprise in their behavior when something is done. Well, beastly nerd. Uh, if it's the white chick with the short black hair, she had it in for him. Yeah, it was a white chick, short black hair, British chick. She was a Brit. It's 3 years old. I know it's an old video, but I wasn't watching Jordan Peterson fucking 3 years ago. I ain't even watching him now. The only reason I saw the video is because Sam sent the shit to me. But I had heard about it. I just hadn't watched it in its entirety. So I went ahead and did that shit. So, and that's what I got from it. But it worked. It worked in concert with a lot of other stuff that I was seeing. Like I've told you guys before, I do believe that every week, in a sense, has its own theme, and you have to pay attention to the movements of things around you to understand what that theme is. And right now, from what I'm seeing, it's only Wednesday, so I'm about the middle of the week. The theme that I'm seeing from this week is another grass cutting, in a sense, is that change is one of them. Making missteps is another one. But being able to look back on the missteps and see how wrong some of the choices were because you have succeeded and moved past that point of making those mistakes. And that's pretty much what I've seen this week so far. And that's what I'm getting as the underlying theme that I'm seeing in Selma being my anima, is seeing at the same time that change happens. It's not always from good decisions, but it's always change. It could actually be something good. It ended up being better for these things. So since 20 fucking 14, that has been my thing, to accept change. Always to accept change. Never let it define you, but always let it propel you into the next thing, because change is part of life. Even scorpions molt. They don't stay in the same shell forever. And you got to shake off that outer layer to grow bigger and grow stronger. You do. So that's what I'm seeing this moment. This is March. It's the end of March, and this month can be considered March Madness. But the next month, it's Charles's birthday. Huh, I got to do that interview with Charles. But you have April Fools and April showers and spring cleaning, and everything is fresh and starts new again. So if anything, for me, that understanding of turmoil at one moment and then a new birth in the next moment, to me, being Easter, is not just your biblical, you know, resurrection for a matrix for a matrix thing, reincarnation, but the rebirth like a phoenix. And I do love phoenixes, my favorite mythical animal. That this is the time of the fire to come out and show all them colors. So that is more hopeful than thinking about all the bullshit that motherfuckers want to try to put a nigga through. But that's it. That's the late night. So that is the and part. It's like and what? What the fuck did you do? She did that interview with all that shit, and what did you prove? Not a goddamn thing. Except that you were wholly outclassed and outmatched to be having a conversation with a man of that caliber. And at my point, to my side of the shit, it's like the and what is, what did you prove? All you proved is that you are who the fuck I always knew you were. I just accepted it. And you did exactly what was expected of you to do. It was not a surprise. it was scripted. And we were, in the words of my boy Ron Mundrum, hallowed be his name, in that shop, I was just at the finish line waiting for you to get here. That's it. That's what psychology does for you. That's what studying people does for you. That's what understanding who people are does for you. It could be boring because you're not surprised all the time, but as you get older, you shouldn't be surprised all the time. You should understand how things work. Because if you're surprised all the time, it means you never knew. So I am going to get out of here and take my ass in the house and shower and do the rest of this work because I have some comic books to order. So, like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined. Thank you guys for coming through and listening to me ramble on for a bit. I've been ArtisanMc. This has been a PMDM, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.